I'm your host, Renee Kranz. In the studio with me today, returning for his second time, is Jon Hansen. Welcome, Jon.
Hey, Renee. It's good to be with you again.
So the last time you were here, so Jon is the, South Dakota representative from District 25.
You got it.
Which includes Del Rapids.
Yeah, well, it's basically northern Minnehaha County and all of Moody County.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you for clarifying that. The last time you were here, I looked back, was January of this year, and we had just had a big snowstorm.
Yes. Oh, we're reaching that point again, aren't we?
I know.
It's
so I was like, we got to get him in before it gets all snowy and stuff, and he can't get here.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming in. I wanted to have you come back. So this is some of this is going to be stuff people have heard before, which I think is okay. Mm-hmm. Repetition is the mother of all learning, right?
That's right.
So I wanted you to come back in and talk about the abortion amendment to the Constitution that a group is collecting signatures for, and the Decline to Sign initiative that is working to keep them from collecting enough signatures to get it on the ballot. So will you tell us, I want to talk about that, and then towards the end, there's an important part of this that I think a lot of people misunderstand, which is what a priest can say in the pulpit. So we're going to talk about that a little bit too, and what is allowed, what is not allowed, what the church says about it. So you seem like the perfect person to tell us all that stuff.
Great.
All right. So will you start with telling us what is the amendment to the Constitution that's circulating, and what does it do with taxpayer dollars?
Okay, so right now, as you indicated, as we've discussed before, there's a petition that's being circulated, literally being circulated right now as we speak. If the petition gets enough signatures, there will be an amendment, a proposed amendment placed on the ballot. Mm-hmm. That amendment, if it were to pass, would legalize abortion through all 9 months of pregnancy, all the way up to the point of birth. Mm-hmm. It would write it into our state constitution.
Right.
It's about as horrific as you can imagine, legalizing abortion all the way from conception all the way to the point where the mother is literally about to have the baby.
Right.
It's actually even worse than just legalizing horrific late-term abortions, because it also overrides a bunch of our common sense, bipartisan protections that we've had in place in this state since Roe versus Wade was initially enacted.
Right.
So everything from conscience protections for doctors, so that doctors can't be forced into performing abortions or get sued or get fired. Everything to parental notification laws, so that if your minor daughter is being bullied by her boyfriend into having an abortion, at least the parent is notified, so that you can have a say in that process. Parental notification laws would go away under this amendment. And crazy enough, even basic health and safety protections for mothers in the first trimester are banned under this amendment. Mm-hmm. And so it's kind of ironic, because it's been the pro-aborts who have been accusing the pro-lifers of creating situations where there would be back alley, coat hanger style abortions. Now they've written a constitutional amendment that would ban those health and safety protections that we as a state have had in place since Roe versus Wade. They want those gone. Mm-hmm. So anything from making sure the abortion is done in a licensed, inspected facility, the abortion is done by a doctor, that when chemical abortion pills are prescribed, that at least they're administered safely. All of those protections that we've had in place for mothers, they go away under this abortion amendment. So it is as extreme as it gets. It is the biggest threat to unborn life that our state has ever seen. And it's here right now. And we're fighting it every single day out there. We've got an organization called Life Defense Fund that's been set up by me. I'm one of the co-chairs along with Leslie Unruh, good friend. And we created the Life Defense Fund. And right now what we're doing, as you said, we are out there with an effort to encourage people to decline to sign the petition.
Right.
Our volunteers are out there next to those petition circulators. People have got our flyers or distributing them to anybody who will take them to distribute them. And really, it's just about educating the public so that they know. Right. What we have seen is that the pro-abort circulators are lying to the people.
Right. Yeah, I've seen this in some photos. I have not seen them out anywhere, but I must not go anywhere. But yes, they're not telling the truth at all about what this is.
Right. They say it's just for early term abortion. They say it's not for late term abortion, which it is.
They even say it's pro-family.
Right. On their website, on their signage, actually, they've said things like this is a pro-life, pro-family measure,
right,
which is absolutely insane. But they don't care. They're lying to the people to get these signatures. And if they get on the ballot, that's only going to continue. They're going to continue to mislead our fellow South Dakotans into getting this written into our Constitution. And as we just talked about, the consequences to unborn babies and mothers who are in these situations will be completely devastating.
Yes.
Completely devastating.
Yeah, yeah. Where have you seen them out so far? Because like I said, I don't go a ton of places, I have to admit. So I'm not much of a shopper and stuff. So I haven't seen them anywhere. But where are they usually so far?
A lot of times they're down in front of like the county admin building. In other places, they might be in front of the courthouse in different counties.
So if you're going to pay your taxes or renew your registration, be aware.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Know that they're out there and know that they're trying to mislead people. In fact, we've even had a situation. This was in front of the farmers market in Sioux Falls. They were out in front of the farmers market. We had somebody approach our volunteers who were out there and educating the people. And a couple approached one of our volunteers and said, "Hey, we just want to let you know they're lying to people over there. They're scamming people over there." Well, what do you mean? Well, we saw this other petition to repeal the grocery tax, the tax on groceries, and we said we wanted to sign that petition, and they handed us the abortion petition instead.
Wow.
And we read it over, and we said, "No, this isn't the one we want to sign. We want to sign the grocery tax repeal." And they said, "Nope, that's the one you want to sign."
Oh.
That's the kind of things that they're doing out there every single day. And
Yeah.
we've heard it from multiple people. In fact, some people who are pro-life have come to us and said, "Hey, I just realized I signed this petition to legalize abortion. I'm pro-life. I thought it was a pro-life measure. I was misled into signing this.
Yeah.
What can I do?
Yeah.
How can I get my name off of this thing?"
Yep.
So they are misleading people. That's why it's really important that right now we are educating people about the extreme consequences of this measure so that it's never written into the South Dakota Constitution.
Yeah. Can you tell us just a little bit the three different kind of part? There's three different parts to this, right? That they talk about the 3 trimesters and what will happen. And if we can get especially clarity on the last trimester, because I've actually had a friend just recently say, well, the last trimester sounds like they're protecting women and not going to allow abortion. But that's not really what's happening there.
Exactly right.
So can you describe those?
Absolutely. So the abortion amendment is written into 3 trimesters, 3 paragraphs for each trimester. We actually just produced this little explainer, which is exactly what you're talking about. So we can make this available maybe on a link on the YouTube video.
Yep.
And that kind of walks through. We've also got a video on this on lifedefensefund.com where we just walk through the amendment, because it is important. When you read the amendment, you might not understand all the ramifications because there's undefined terms.
It's
some
tricky.
of the terms, some of the terms are tricky and confusing. And so unless you really deep dive, understand what we're talking about here, you might be confused by the language. And so, like I said, it's broken down into 3 trimesters. The first trimester says, before the end of the first trimester, the state may not regulate a pregnant woman's abortion decision and its effectuation, which must be left to the judgment of the pregnant woman.
And most people are like, what the heck is effectuation?
Exactly right. Yeah. What does that term mean? It's not defined in the amendment.
Right.
And so you have to sort of look at the general definition of effectuation. Effectuation means to bring about.
Okay.
And so this is a ban on any protection or regulation related to the bringing about of an abortion. So it's about as broad as you can possibly imagine. I mean, that's, I guess, one area where the pro-abort proponents of the measure and we actually agree that what the amendment does in the first trimester is a complete prohibition on any protection whatsoever. They acknowledge that, and obviously that's the case. That's what they're going for. And that includes those health and safety protections for mothers, parental notifications like we were talking about. In the second trimester, there's still a ban on any regulation, unless the regulation is reasonably related to the physical health of the pregnant woman.
Reasonably related, okay?
Yeah, so even that's sort of like legalistic. It's like, what does that mean? Reasonably related to the physical health of the pregnant woman. Well, when you think about regulations regarding the physical health of a woman. Now, all of a sudden, in the second trimester, you can start to implement like health and safety protections for mothers. Only in the second trimester. In the first trimester, you can't do that.
Right.
There's a complete prohibition on protections for mothers. There's still no ability to protect the unborn baby.
Right.
So now we have the first trimester and the second trimester, no limits on any abortion whatsoever. Right. The only regulation allowable is in the second trimester, and that's to protect the physical health of the mother. That's it. Okay. Now, in the third trimester, it's written a little differently. The third trimester says, after the end of the second trimester, so third trimester, the state may regulate or prohibit abortion. So, okay, that sounds better. The state may regulate or prohibit abortion, except, and it's a big exception, when abortion is necessary in the medical judgment of the woman's physician to preserve the life or health of the pregnant woman.
Right.
Now, they know.
There's the rub.
Exactly right. They know that an undefined health exception includes basically all factors. And the way they know that is because when Roe versus Wade was decided by the Supreme Court, there was a companion case called Doe versus Bolton. Every once in a while, the Supreme Court will sort of combine hearings on cases.
Yeah. Roe and Doe, and
that was the case. Roe and Doe were argued together, and then there were two separate opinions. In the Doe decision, the Supreme Court actually interpreted an undefined health exception, just like this. And the court said health, like this, includes all factors: physical, emotional, psychological, familial, and the woman's age. So this broad definition of health allows for abortion all the way up to the point of birth. For basically
any reason.
Exactly. Yeah. For any reason. In North Dakota, they're actually in litigation right now over a similar undefined health exception. And the pro-abortion litigants in North Dakota are arguing that health like this means anything from back pain associated with pregnancy to the stress of having to drive to another state in order to obtain the abortion.
Oh, man.
So that alone is what they're saying constitutes an illegal abortion under an undefined health exception. So they know it. They're lying about it. But they know that the way this is written, it allows for basically unlimited abortion through all 9 months of pregnancy.
Yeah. They're really tricky on that, and it's so frustrating, honestly, to hear that and know that, I don't know, it's so easy to trick the public because we just don't have time to pay attention. So I'm really glad there's people out there with this stuff. Right. We will put a link to that on the YouTube page and on the social media posts so that people can see that. And
Great.
Okay, Jon, anything else? How many signatures do they need and by when?
They need 35,000, just over 35,000 valid signatures by May of next year. So we've got to sustain this educational campaign for some time, and we'll be able to do that.
Yep.
We need more volunteers.
Okay.
If you'd like to volunteer, go to lifedefensefund.com.
Okay.
Sign up on the website. We'll reach out to you, and we'll help you volunteer.
Yeah.
We need more volunteers. We've had some amazing volunteers out there that are on the front lines every single day, educating the people about the ramifications of this. Because you're right, if you just read this, or if you just take on the surface what these circulators are saying, you're not getting the full truth.
No.
It requires explanation. It requires us to be out there to educate the people.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're doing. And so anybody who wants to volunteer, please do so. Yep. So they need just over 1,000 signatures by May of next year. Really what they need is probably twice that many, because a lot of them will come back as invalid for one reason or another. So we've got a sustained education campaign ahead of us.
Yep.
And if you'd like to help out with that, go to lifedefensefund.com and sign up.
And if you can't help out, tell your family and friends about it at least, and send them to that website so they can read up on it.
Absolutely. And if maybe you talk to your pastor and your pastor is willing to have flyers distributed. I mean, the Catholic Conference.
Some parishes have done that already.
Yeah. And the Catholic Conference has actually, we've got our decline to sign flyer. This is what we pass out. The Catholic Conference has also produced something similar to that.
Yep.
That's just an educational piece. That's available on the Catholic Conference website. And so if you're in a parish, you could go to your pastor and say, hey, can we have these distributed?
Yes.
Or if you're in some sort of civic group maybe, and you want to bring our flyers to that group and have those distributed, if you want us to come speak to your group,
Oh, yeah.
please let us know. We'll get you as many flyers as you need. We'll point you in the right direction. We'll come speak to your group. We just really want to educate as many people we can on
Yeah,
this.
yeah, good. So you mentioned pastors. So let's move into the confusion around what a priest can say from the pulpit, especially regarding political issues. The abortion issue in particular. You work in the legislature, Jon. What does the law say?
That's a great question. And I think if you look over the last, 5 or 6 decades in particular, I think we'll realize that Christians have been lied to, and that many laity and pastors and religious leaders have bought into this lie. And the lie is that if there's an issue, whether it's cultural or moral, if it sort of enters the political debate, then all of a sudden the church shall be silent on that issue.
Right.
That's the lie. And I think it's a lie designed to keep Christians from engaging in the most pressing cultural and moral issues confronting humanity in our time.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's not true. The truth is, and if we want to talk specifically about, let's say, ballot measures, because that's what we're dealing with here, the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops has actually been very clear and issued directives as far as what pastors and churches and Catholic organizations can do. And the USCCB has said Catholic organizations may support or oppose ballot measures in furtherance of their exempt purposes. Now, what we're talking about there is actually the IRS tax code. And so churches are formed under 501c3. That's sort of their nonprofit status.
Right.
And so even under that tax code, the law says Catholic organizations may engage in lobbying activities if they do not constitute a substantial part of their total activities measured by time, effort, expenditures, and other relevant factors.
Right.
And so there's been cases on that issue. And basically what the court cases have said is insofar as long as your activity on a particular, let's say, ballot measure doesn't exceed 15% of what you ordinarily do, then it's totally legal. We should not be concerned whatsoever about speaking in to these very pressing cultural and moral issues. Our own South Dakota Catholic Conference has already done so, in fact. In prior years on Amendment A, on Measure 27, both were to legalize marijuana. Our South Dakota Catholic Conference came in and opposed those measures. We've seen it on the abortion issue around the country as well. Catholic conferences in other states have come in and supported pro-life measures and opposed pro-abortion measures. So it's completely legal. We should not play into the lie that we cannot speak truth into these really important cultural and moral issues. Not only is it legal, though, not only can we, but we should.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. Yes.
Yeah, not only can we say these things, we ought to speak the truth into these issues. And the Catechism is directly on point. The Catechism says, it is a part of the Church's mission to pass moral judgments, even in matters related to politics, whenever the fundamental rights of man or the salvation of souls requires it. And we're talking about this abortion amendment that is to be written into our South Dakota Constitution and legalize abortion through all 9 months of pregnancy. And we think about whenever the fundamental rights of man or the salvation of souls require it. Here we're talking about the first liberty, the right to life.
Yes. Yeah.
That is about as fundamental of a right as it gets.
Right.
And so not only can we talk about these things legally, but we ought to. It is the duty and mission of the church to speak truth to our people.
Right. So when Bishop DeGrood, for instance, during his homily on TV Mass talks about these issues, he has every right to do so and every duty as our bishop to do so.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I know that a lot of priests do feel a hesitation with that. And you're right, we've been lied to for a long time. And a lot of fear around that is instilled in us to say, oh, I better not do that. And but we definitely must stand up for the things that are right.
Amen.
So
amen. And the courage to speak the truth is a virtue.
Yes.
Like all virtues, they're habitual.
Yep.
And so I just think I pray so much for courage. When I see these cultural and moral issues that present themselves, whether just in Pierre or anywhere else, a lot of times the virtue that I see lacking the most is actually courage.
Yeah.
And so I pray often that people in whatever walk of life, whether laity, pastor, legislator, doesn't matter, that they have the courage when confronted to speak the truth.
Right. Jesus did that very thing and didn't, he wasn't worried. He wasn't always worried about whether or not someone was going to be upset with him.
Right.
It's just not something we can worry about all the time.
That's right.
The truth
Exactly
is
right.
much more important than that.
Yeah, but the bishop just preached about that over the weekend, in fact, and talked about how if your identity is rooted in you as God's creation, then you don't really worry about what these other people say about you.
Right.
Because you know who you are as a child of God.
Yeah. And that's actually the key thing right there. So, Jon, thank you for clearing that up for us. It's still something that's really hard for people to understand and kind of grasp because we've been lied to about it for so long. So we'll just start sending them this link and say, here you go.
There you go. Perfect.
All right. We will please keep fighting the good fight in this issue. We will hopefully be able to get some more volunteers for you here.
Great.
And we will continue to talk about it from our end and maybe bring you in a little bit closer. We can't, they don't tell us ahead of time how many signatures they have, do they?
Nope, you don't know until
I wish we could know and be like, oh no, stop them now.
Yeah.
But we just have to do what we can. So thank you again for coming in. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Renee. It's
You're
great to be
welcome.
with you.
If you haven't found us on social media yet, you can find us at Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and on Rumble at SF Diocese. And of course, the diocesan website at sfcatholic.org. That's it for us today. Hope you'll join us again next week for more Catholic Views.